Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling a topic that I think a lot of people are talking about and a lot of people are thinking about, and it is kids and their relationship with screens.
Oh, yeah, it's a big one.
We have got a Reddit thread that is absolutely bursting at the seams with
Yes.
opinions and personal experiences, and like our mission today is to kind of sift through all of that and really extract the most insightful nuggets that we can about how all of this screen time that kids are getting these days, how is it shaping the next generation?
Yeah, I mean, it is such a timely discussion because, we're not just talking about like the latest video game or social media trend. We're really talking about like a potential paradigm shift in childhood development.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Reddit thread does not pull any punches.
Mm.
The original poster kicks things off with a pretty provocative comparison. They're likening a toddler's meltdown over lost internet access to a meth addict going through withdrawal.
Wow, that is.
It's a little tense.
It's pretty jarring. And I mean, I'm sure that got people talking. But you know, while it may seem extreme, it does kind of raise a valid concern about the addictive nature of technology. We know that dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's associated with pleasure and reward, and it plays a key role in addiction.
Right.
And a lot of these apps and games that are out there, they're literally designed to trigger those dopamine rushes just to keep users, hooked.
It's like they figured out how to hack our brain chemistry.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, and when you consider that a child's brain is still developing, like the potential for these technologies to have a lasting impact on their reward pathways and impulse control, it's a pretty significant concern.
Yeah, one of the commenters shared a story about a child who had been exposed to screens basically from infancy.
Oh, wow.
And this child ended up having significant difficulties in school, struggled with emotional regulation,
Mhm.
and just exhibited, what some might consider to be addictive behaviors.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just a stark reminder that this isn't, just some theoretical discussion like this is playing out in real lives.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. And, unfortunately, it's not an isolated incident. We're seeing a growing body of research exploring the potential negative impacts of excessive screen time on children's, cognitive development, their social skills, even their mental well-being.
That not everybody in the thread had, these extreme experiences.
Right.
It was interesting to see there was like a whole spectrum of parenting approaches that emerged.
Oh, yeah.
Everything from like super highly restrictive to almost completely hands off.
Like a microcosm of kind of the larger societal debate we're having, isn't it? I mean, parents are just trying to navigate this uncharted territory,
Very.
trying to balance, the potential benefits of technology with potential risks. And there's just no easy answer.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach to this.
Not at all.
So we heard from a parent who limits their 6-year-old screen time to just an hour or two per week.
Okay.
And they emphasize how this allows their child to just thrive in other areas,
Oh.
engaging in imaginative play, outdoor activities, creative pursuits.
It makes sense. I mean, setting healthy boundaries early on, it can help children develop a healthy relationship with technology and avoid becoming like overly dependent on screens for entertainment or just stimulation in general.
Right. And then on the flip side of that, we also read about a 5-year-old girl who spent 4 hours at a friend's house silently watching YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
And not even YouTube Kids,
Oh no.
regular YouTube.
Yikes.
So, I mean, it just makes you wonder about what are kids being exposed to if there isn't proper supervision.
Absolutely. And, are they stumbling on, inappropriate or even harmful material?
Right. It really highlights that need for open communication between parents and caregivers,
Hmm.
just to make sure that there's a consistent approach to screen time and, online safety for kids.
For sure.
We also saw a parent talking about how they use Google's Family Link
Uh-huh.
to manage their child's online experience, and they only allow educational content and drawing apps. So it's just interesting to see all the tools and strategies that parents are using to try to be more proactive in shaping their children's digital world.
Right. And it's a good reminder that, technology isn't inherently good or bad. It's all about how we use it and how we guide our children in using it.
Absolutely.
Parental control software can be helpful for some families, but it's essential to consider the potential drawbacks as well.
Right.
Like, are you limiting a child's autonomy or potentially hindering their development of digital literacy skills?
So speaking of real-world experiences, let's shift our focus a little bit to the front lines of this whole screen time battle, which is the classroom.
Oh, yeah, the teachers.
The teachers chimed in on this thread, and they offered some pretty sobering observations.
I bet.
They're seeing the effects of this excessive screen time firsthand, and they're expressing concern about what it means for the future of education.
Yeah, it's crucial to remember that, teachers aren't just observing changes in behavior. They're seeing, a potential decline in like fundamental skills that are really essential for learning and development, like attention span, critical thinking, problem solving.
One teacher described what they're seeing as an alarming lack of learning, a decline in attention spans, and this disturbing trend of children preferring screen time over real-life events.
Wow.
And it's just heartbreaking, and a lot of educators are echoing that same sentiment.
Yeah, it's like the virtual world is becoming more enticing, more immediately rewarding than the real world for some of these kids.
Right.
And that's a scary thought because it makes you wonder about their ability to engage in, meaningful social interactions, to navigate real life challenges, to experience the richness of the world around them.
And there's some specific examples in the thread. People are talking about children needing to be physically separated from tablets in the morning, car
Yeah.
rider line at school,
Hmm.
expressing excitement about canceled social events because it meant more screen time. And even engaging in inappropriate sexual behavior or witnessing violence on YouTube.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
just heavy stuff.
It is. And it's just, these examples are stark reminders of the potential consequences of unrestricted access to digital content. We need to be vigilant, informed, and proactive in guiding our children toward a healthy and balanced relationship with technology.
Absolutely.
It's tough, right? I mean, these anecdotes really highlight the complexity of all this. And then, you might be thinking, but isn't technology making us smarter? What about all this information that we have, like, right at our fingertips?
Yeah, that's the debate, right? Are we becoming more knowledgeable or just more reliant on these quick answers?
Exactly. It's like that whole dumbing down debate,
Yeah.
and it's a valid concern. I mean, is relying on search engines a true replacement for deep learning? Are we sacrificing a genuine understanding of these complex topics just for the, instant gratification of a Google search?
Yeah, and one of the commenters made this point that I thought was so interesting. They were saying using a search engine is not the same as actually seeking knowledge. Right. It's more about like passive consumption of information rather than that active engaging process of learning that occurs when we immerse ourselves in a book.
Mm.
Grapple with these challenging concepts. Engage in thoughtful discussions.
For sure. And I mean, technology has undeniably changed how we access and process information, but it's just so vital that we don't lose, those critical thinking skills, that ability to analyze, to synthesize, to discern fact from fiction.
And it made me think, what impact is all this screen time having on something as fundamental as childhood play?
Oh, that's a great point. Play has always been just a cornerstone of child development, fostering imagination, creativity, problem-solving skills, social emotional learning.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, remember when we were kids, building forts out of blankets, creating these elaborate worlds with our action figures, just losing ourselves in make-believe for hours.
Exactly. And all of those open-ended, imaginative play experiences, they're invaluable for a child's development.
Hmm.
But with the allure of screens, those types of activities seem to be, on the decline.
Yeah, one commenter shared a story about how their young son, who had spent a lot of time, with screens, struggled to actually engage in imaginative play.
Wow.
It was like he lacked that, creativity and flexibility of thought that often comes from exploring the world through make-believe.
It makes you wonder, are we kind of inadvertently limiting our children's imaginative potential by just constantly providing them with this stream of, prepackaged entertainment? Are we robbing them of the opportunity to create their own worlds, to invent their own games, to,
Huh.
craft their own
Yeah, it's
narratives?
like we're handing them a coloring book instead of a blank canvas and a box of crayons.
Oh, I like that. That's a powerful analogy. And it's not just about play. Think about social skills, like those crucial abilities that we develop through face-to-face interactions, navigating, playground dynamics, resolving conflicts, reading social cues, empathizing with
Yeah,
others.
all those, awkward middle school dances, the butterflies of a first crush, the, whispered secrets shared with your best friends, all those
Ew.
messy, wonderful experiences that really shape us as people.
Exactly. But as screen time increases, we see this decrease in those types of real world interactions.
Right.
Kids are spending less time, engaging in face-to-face conversations and more time communicating through, digital platforms.
And you're right, like emojis and memes, they can't truly replace the nuance of a raised eyebrow or a knowing smile.
They can't. And, that can have implications for a child's ability to build meaningful relationships, to understand social cues, and just to navigate the complexities of, social situations.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is a lot of the commenters pointed out that this isn't just a problem for kids, like adults are grappling with these same
Oh,
challenges.
totally. We see it everywhere. People glued to their phones at dinner parties,
Yeah.
couples scrolling through social media instead of talking to each other, friends connecting online, but rarely making time to actually meet up in person.
It's like we're all becoming these digital hermits retreating into our own little screens and just losing that ability to connect with each other on like a human level.
Yeah, and then there's the impact on attention spans.
Mm.
I mean, in today's digital world, we are just bombarded with information, notifications, updates, alerts, constantly vying for our attention.
It's like our brains are being rewired, for constant stimulation for those short bursts of information rather than sustained focus.
Exactly. And the research suggests that all of this digital bombardment, is impacting our ability to concentrate, to focus on a single task for, any extended period.
One of the teachers mentioned that they're noticing like a decline in reading comprehension among their students.
Really?
They're struggling to stay engaged with longer texts. Their minds start to wander after just a few paragraphs.
Wow. So if we connect that to the bigger picture,
Hmm.
we see a potential crisis brewing, right?
Yeah.
Because in a world that demands, deep thinking, critical analysis, problem-solving skills,
Mhm.
are we inadvertently raising a generation that's just ill-equipped to meet those challenges?
It's like we're training our brains to be butterflies, flitting from one bright flower to the next, but never pausing to actually like savor the nectar. Yeah. And what's fascinating is a lot of the commenters on the thread, they kind of acknowledge these trends in themselves,
Yeah.
admitting to struggling with screen addiction, noticing their own shrinking attention spans, and just feeling, this growing sense of disconnect from the real world.
It's like we're all caught in this digital web and we're not even sure how to break free.
Exactly. And, that's precisely why these conversations are so important. We need to be aware of the potential risks, to set healthy boundaries for ourselves and our children, and to, just to model balanced behaviors.
And one commenter shared a strategy that they use with their kids.
Oh, yeah.
They said when their kids start to complain about being bored, they encourage them to engage in what they call boredom-busting activities,
I like that.
things that require creativity, imagination, and problem solving.
That's fantastic. It's about, reframing boredom as an opportunity, a chance for the mind to wander, to explore, to create.
And another commenter talked about the importance of family rituals.
Oh.
Having device-free dinners, playing board games together, going for hikes on the weekends. Those shared experiences that really foster connection and a sense of belonging.
Those rituals are so crucial, especially, in a world that can feel increasingly isolating. They just provide a counterbalance to the often, solitary nature of the digital world, and they help us reconnect with each other on a deeper level.
So where do we go from here? What's the takeaway for our listeners?
It's not about, demonizing technology. It's about using it consciously, intentionally, and in a way that supports our well-being and the well-being of our children. It's about finding that sweet spot between the digital world and the real world, that balance that allows us to thrive in both.
This has been a deep dive, hasn't it? We've explored
Yeah.
some pretty heavy stuff today, but hopefully you come away with some food for thought.
And if you're ready to, dive even deeper, check out the book Dopamine Nation by Dr. Anna Lemke. It offers a fascinating exploration of, addiction in the digital age and provides some practical strategies for reclaiming control.
Yeah, it really has been, and there's so much to think about and consider as we, try to navigate this digital landscape.
Absolutely. And, this is an ongoing discussion. The key is to stay informed, engage in these open dialogues, and just find what works best for you and your family.
Well, this deep dive has been a whirlwind of information and perspectives, and if you found it valuable, we would love for you to hit that like button and subscribe to Voices of the Soul for more insightful conversations like this one.
Yeah, and you can also find us on YouTube at Shauna Pelage, where we explore a wide range of topics just to, help you navigate this crazy, complex world that we live in.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep those conversations going and stay curious.